boys and girls, today we're going to be making an at-home bubble recipe, but before we get started, we're going to get a little bit into the physics of water tension. So, one of the most important things to know about water is that it's what I would like to call friendly. Water likes to be near other water. So if you guys see how the water is spread out nice and thin over this sheet of wax paper, as we add more water, the bubbles kind of draw in together and get larger. This is important because when we take our bubble solution, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of soap, and I've just added a little bit of soap to the end of this Q-tip to our bubble solution, and that's going to decrease the water tension. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like by taking a regular Q-tip and a Q-tip with soap and poking our regular water. And if you guys notice, the one that I poked with the soap end immediately flattened out, and it's spreading out over all the other ones. The one that I poked with just the regular Q-tip held its shape. Another really good way to visualize this is by adding a little bit of color to your milk. In this case, I watered down some poster paint, just enough that you can kind of see it. And then I'm going to dip my Q-tip into some more water mixed with soap, and then you can see immediately the color's been pushed around. So you might think that what's happening here is the water tension is being completely broken, but really what's happening is the soap is fitting itself between two water molecules and making the bond between them stretchy, which is what lets us later on when we're making our bubble soap, is what's gonna let us blow air into our water and make bubbles. All right, so we're gonna be making up a pretty quick recipe. In this case, I'm doing a reduced recipe because I don't need that much bubble soap at home. So I'm gonna be taking 1 1/2 cups of water, 1/3 a cup of corn syrup, and 1/2 a cup of Dawn dish soap, and mix them together in our bowl. First, we are going to add the corn syrup to the water and mix them together. The reason we're adding the corn syrup is, as you can see, it's a lot thicker than the water is. So it's gonna make the water slower to evaporate and make our bubbles last longer and make it easier for us to put more air into it. So mixing the corn syrup and the water first is also helpful, because it means you're not going to wind up with a bunch of big bubbles in your soap or your bubble mix before you even get a chance to blow bubbles. All right, that's nice and mixed up. It has made things just a little bit thicker than they normally would be. Not quite noticeable, but definitely there. And I'm just going to use the measuring cup for a minute so I can get whatever's left on the inside of the measuring cup into the recipe. There we go. Slightly thickened water. Now we're going to take our dish soap, and it's important to pour nice and slow and to mix nice and carefully. You guys can see that the way the soap's moving through the water is a little bit different than it might normally be, because the water is a little bit thicker than it would normally be. As you guys can see, I'm just gently pushing in one direction at a time so that I'm not making too many bubbles, because we already have some forming here on the left and right sides. All right, I think we're ready to try it a little bit. There's a bunch of different things that you can use as a bubble wand, but in this case, I'm gonna be a little bit lazy and try to use the end of a paper towel roll. I am just gonna take a minute and kind of soak it in the end so that the end of the paper towel roll is holding a little bit of the bubble solution on it. But as you can see, we already have a nice shiny end where you can see the bubble film starting to form. So I should be able to just go whoop, and blow a couple bubbles. Nothing too crazy. There's a bunch of different ways you guys can make bubbles at home. Miss Sarah's making a bubble wand making tutorial right now, but you can use like the end of a plant pot where they have 1,000 little holes at the bottom and make a bunch of little bubbles. Or you guys can use the paper towel roll like I have and try and make a couple of big bubbles. If you blow in slowly, you might get a good, there you go, just nice bubbles. I definitely recommend doing this video outside. That might take you a little bit of trial and error, but it's nice. Nice. All right, hope you guys have some fun with the science of bubbles at home. Till then, I'll see you next week.